Our lesson focus is wanting the students to know that if they are having trouble with something that affects their health, be it physical or mental, where they can go in the community to get the help they need. Our content descriptors and elaborations are straight from the Australian curriculum. This content descriptor is important to address in the classroom as students are not always aware of where in the community they can go if they are experiencing problems. It is important to have the knowledge to access the help if it is needed. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify multiple community organisations they can access, along with how they can go about contacting them if they need be. The students will be presented with multiple infographics from their peers, therefore, they will gather information from a wide variety of organisations. As you can see, the substrands of Strand 1 addressed are being healthy, safe, and active, along with contributing to healthy and active communities. The focus area of learning for health contexts addressed are alcohol and drugs, food and nutrition, mental health, and well-being and safety. Our adjustment for the needs of learners addresses a student with a hearing impairment. We cater to this by preparing a task sheet for the student prior to the lesson. In addition to this, the teacher will have a microphone linked to a receiver in the student's hearing aid so that the student is able to listen and understand the teacher's instructions. During this group activity phase of the lesson, the student will have their iPad with the speech-to-text function active so they are able to participate in collaboration with their peers. The students will begin the lesson seated on the floor in front of the whiteboard. We decided to seat the children this way as it allows us to monitor the students' behaviour during the orientation phase and ensure we have the attention of the class while giving the instructions for the lesson. This will allow the lesson to stay on track and organised. As the introduction, we will present the students with the big question. If I'm having trouble with something that is affecting my health, where in the community can I go to get help? We will then guide the students' learning by asking stimulus questions that require students to reflect on their prior knowledge. This will help brainstorm ideas and issues to address in the community infographic activity. These ideas and answers are written on the whiteboard so that students can look back and reflect on the issues that need to be addressed. As you can see, the required resources and applied classroom setup are supplied in the resources column. Once the brainstorming activity is over, we will explain to the class that they will be completing an infographic in groups of 4 using a college maker on their MacBook they can present to the class at the end of the lesson. I will be looking for the group to create an infographic that advertises the name of the organisation, how we can contact them, such as a phone number or website, where they are located, and what the organisation can actually help us with. I will then show them the exemplar infographic and point out that the key features of the infographic are all present. Before sending the students off to their groups, I'll use the formative assessment strategy of thumbs up or thumbs down to check for understanding.
Before the students move into their own groups, a quick video will be shown to give the students a further understanding of the program that they'll be using for their infographic. Another formative assessment will be taken to check for understanding. Students will display on a scale of 1 to 5 using their fingers, where 5 fingers indicates I understand and 1 finger indicates I do not understand. Students will then split into their allocated groups to start their activity. Their groups will be allocated based on behavioural and academic needs prior to this activity. The resources will be clearly displayed to all groups so that there are clear guidelines for the students to refer to while still giving them the freedom to express how they want their infographic to look. We will then allocate each group a health issue by randomly drawing them from a hat based on the brainstormed issues in the orientation stage. In order to promote student engagement and give the students a sense of responsibility, each student will be assigned a role by their peers with responsibilities that they must live up to. These roles include the researcher, who is assigned the task of researching the community organisation linked to the health-related problems on the iPads, the designer, who will be assigned the task of using the Picture Collage Maker 3 application on the MacBook to design the infographic, and the organiser will organise the task and ensure that all criteria is met for the infographic by checking the work of their peers alongside the criteria. Giving the students responsibility in an inquiry-based learning format like this frees us up as the teacher and allows us to guide the students' learning from a backseat position. Because the teacher is an assisting role within the student's learning environment, the teacher can prompt the students with questions in order to guide their learning as we have displayed here. In this stage, as the teacher, we will make sure that we are monitoring the hearing impaired student to make sure that he is able to collaborate and get involved with the resources provided. The teacher will then do a quick formative assessment on each group by going around and making sure that they have completed their infographics in accordance to the criteria.
The synthesizing section of the learning experience will allow the teacher to gain a better understanding of the student's comprehension of the activity. It is in this section that students will present their infographics and also complete peer reviews for other students. This process allows the students to not only self-reflect on their understanding and the information included in their own infographics, but also learn more about other organizations as they are presented by other students. During the presentations, students given roles are re-established and given further responsibility. This allows all students to be active and engaged throughout the entire learning process, and continues to give more control to the students over their learning. By giving students more responsibility, we are putting the learning back into the students' hands, providing them with the opportunity to take ownership over their learning. Asking further questions of the class allows the teacher to recognise whether students' presentations were effective enough to convey the required information, as well as develop an understanding about whether the students were able to take in the information presented to them.